9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Welcome into the Chris Hand Show. Mac, I just realized we didn't do our secret handshake this morning.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we got to get that out of the way.
Got to work on that and get that into our routine. I hope you're having a good morning. Did you hear the We Didn't Start the Fire song?
I don't think I did. I mean, the original I've heard, yes.
Okay, well, there's a new Trump version.
Oh, okay,
We'll play that later in the show.
Good.
If people missed it or you wanted to see the video that accompanies it, you can go check out my Twitter account, at Chris Hand on Air. A lot of people were asking to see the video. It's on my Twitter account, at Chris Hand on Air. And hit the follow button. I will follow back. I just got a text on the super text line at 615-737-9986. Our friend Todd is here, and he's on time.
Is
What's
Todd
up,
on
Todd?
time? Let's go.
Todd and Mac were here on time today. It's amazing.
It's a miracle.
Yesterday I was going to play some of that Tucker highlight stuff. Then I was like, oh, don't worry about it. It's not going to even air till Wednesday. Because I thought yesterday was Tuesday for most of the day. I may have even said it was Tuesday a couple times on the air. Which Mac didn't cover for me at all.
Which I just totally didn't back you up on.
You just missed.
It's like, yeah, Tuesday sounds good.
Yeah. All right, bro. Whatever, bro. Mac, you're supposed to have my back.
Sorry, man. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. All right, so the Tucker interview aired last night. My initial thoughts are, why? He's had so many good interviews. RFK Jr. talking about biolabs. Vivek Ramaswamy, depending on how you feel about him, it was still a great interview. The Trump interview, right? He even had Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports. The man has had everybody on. So why is he doing this interview with Larry Sinclair, a man who said that he had relations with Barack Obama and smoked crack with him in the 90s? It feels like it's National Enquirer-ish to me. It felt National Enquirer-ish. If you saw the interview, I want to hear your takes on it, so you can text in or call 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. Phone line's open. Super text line is up. What did you think about the interview? Where were you at on that? Basically this was the highlights, and I'm not going to get into a lot of the salacious details. Because if you wanted to listen to it or see it, you could do that, and it's early in the morning. But this is the highlights from Tucker Carlson on that interview with Larry Sinclair.
You're just a guy who's in town for the night, and it sounds like you're looking to party.
Yeah. Pulled up in a bar outside, and there's this guy that's introduced to me as Barack Obama. I had given Barack $250 to pay for coke. I start putting a line on a CD tray to snort, and next thing I know, he's got a little pipe and he's smoking. So I just started rubbing my hand along his thigh to see where it was going, and it went the direction I had intended it to go.
Even though you had sex with him twice, you did cocaine with him, watched him smoke crack twice, you had no idea who he was.
I had no idea who he was.
You just asked the obvious question, what was Obama like on crack? Is it your sense that that's who Obama is, just transactional, or that he's bisexual, or what is this?
It definitely wasn't Barack's first time, and I would almost be willing to bet you it wasn't his last.
The guy's running for president, and credible information comes out that he's smoking crack and having sex with dudes. That seems like a story.
Well, it would be a story if the media really cared about telling people the truth.
Well, the media doesn't care about telling people the truth. That part we already knew. And a lot of this stuff, the rumors have been out for a while, right? I have some first initial thoughts, right? So first, one of my first thoughts is Tucker set up text notifications on his show. Okay, so you would get text messages when the new episodes pop up. A friend of mine told me that Tucker's text didn't come through for that last episode. But the Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports, that text came through last week. I didn't have text notifications set up on my phone. So is that censorship? I don't know. It's anecdotal, right? But it's very interesting. And then my other thoughts are how is this politically relevant? Why is this a story? When you compare it to RFK Jr., who the RFK Jr. interview, he's talking about biolabs in Ukraine, the CIA overthrowing the Ukrainian government in 2014. He's talking about stuff that's just like out there, third rail stuff. It didn't seem like it was on that same level. That seemed like groundbreaking interview. And this seemed like National Enquirer interview, right? Is that just me? What did you think about it? 615-737-9986. The guy made a lot of accusations, this Larry Sinclair guy, right? But to really jump in and really be 100% undeniable, Larry Sinclair needs to get his phone records released from 1999. I think that would be step one. Step two, I think he would need to find the bar that they met at, because he couldn't even remember in the interview where the bar was. So how do you not remember that? Like, get prepared for your interview with Tucker Carlson. It can't be hard to find the bar, given that the location and the time. And then he said that Barack introduced himself as Barack and not Barry, which he was going by at the time. So, find articles that state or show he was going by Barack and not Barry at the time. I mean, Larry Sinclair is the evidence, right? Larry's the evidence that this happened. So he needs to supply all of it. All of it. We need the phone logs, not maybe not the recordings, but definitely the phone logs. And he's moved a bunch of times since all of this happened. So maybe the phone information is impossible to get. But I will say this, another piece of real evidence in all of this to me would be the silence. Okay? Obama had tons of time before this came out to give a warning and tell people it's not true. Whatever that guy is about to say is fake, right? He didn't. He didn't say any of that. Maybe he just feels like, don't pay it any mind. But he would definitely have grounds for a defamation case, I would feel like, after what was discussed in that interview. So maybe Obama files a defamation case if it's fake. If it's not fake, he can't, right? Simple as. But again, Obama had tons of time to come out with a warning and say that this wasn't true. But what do you think about it? 615-737-9986. My friend Carlos in Spring Hill, you have a thought on the Tucker interview. Carlos, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, man?
So, man, I'm from South Florida, and I just find it a little funny that this is coming out about Barack Obama. And if you think back to when DeSantis was doing the race the first time around in South Florida, the candidate that he was up against, the Democratic candidate, I can't remember his name now.
Was it Gillum?
But he was, yeah, they found him a week after the election in a hotel room, allegedly having sex with men, and there was drugs involved, and I think there was a dead body next to the guy. I mean, is this something that they're finding these potential candidates, and then they can control them because they have this dirt over them type deal,
Well, it's
Am I going too deep with this in the conspiracy possibility?
I mean, we're definitely wearing tinfoil hats. There's no doubt about it. But that's what they said. They said the Epstein thing all along was a honeypot to control people. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
It just seems weird that, and if you bring in Epstein, I mean, he was with the Clintons and and the accidental way that he was taken out. I mean, who's to say these people really aren't going out there and trying to find people that are easily made into puppets?
Hey, I don't think that that's a bridge too far, my friend. Thanks for the call. I really appreciate it, Carlos. Yeah, I don't think that's a bridge too far at all. The one thing that I learned from the interview that wasn't like salacious, really. That wasn't just about the interactions between Larry Sinclair and Barack Obama, was a guy named Donald Young. And Donald Young, well, let me play the clip for you. Okay, this is Tucker Carlson and Larry Sinclair talking about Donald Young. Who is Donald Young?
So Donald Young is the choir director at Jeremiah Wright's church.
Yes.
And is it publicly confirmed that he knew Barack Obama?
Oh, yes. Yes. Donald Young's own mother has repeatedly said that she feels that her son died to protect Barack Obama.
Okay. So there's a lot there. Donald Young apparently called Larry Sinclair to try and quiet him down when Larry was trying to contact the campaign when Barack was running for president. This Donald Young guy, who's a choir director in Chicago. And he went on to tell Larry Sinclair a bunch of things on the phone.
It's just interesting that Donald Young would have called you. He's not working directly for the campaign that we know of.
Exactly.
But somehow he has a copy of your letter. It sounds like maybe Donald Young was on cleanup duty.
Somehow he has my phone number. Exactly. And that's exactly what it was. Because like I said, the first calls were, I was led to believe that he was with the campaign. The last conversation that I'd had with Donald Young, he had actually come clean and said that he had been asked to call me and that his job was to get as much information from me as far as who I had spoken to, who I had given any information to, and to get that to them. He had told me to be careful, to watch myself, and to understand that the Barack Obama campaign was not in any way, shape, or form going to acknowledge anything or come out about anything.
So he says that this Donald Young guy calls him. He's not related to the campaign, but he calls him. And he said that Donald Young told him that he also had relations with Obama over the phone. And that's in the interview. I don't have that clip, but it's just weird to me. If a guy's calling to tell you to quiet down, a guy's calling to tell you and try and get information out of you, why would you admit that you also had relations with Obama? It just felt off. I mean, this is the guy that's supposed to be telling Larry Sinclair to stay quiet. It makes no sense. And I had never heard of Donald Young until last night, so I did some digging, and they said that Donald Young, Larry Sinclair, kind of inferred that he was murdered because of what he knew, and that his mother knew that he was murdered because of the Obama campaign. Right? That was like the gist of what he was getting at. He didn't come right out and say, oh, the Obama campaign killed Donald Young, but that's what he was kind of leaning towards. So I started doing some digging on Donald Young, and sure enough, yeah, the man was murdered. This is a clip from the early 2000s from Chicago local news.
One News. A man who worked as a choir conductor and school teacher is found shot to death. The victim, 47-year-old Donald Young. Good evening, everyone. Young's death has been ruled a homicide. His body was discovered yesterday morning inside his South Side home at 2320 East 69th Street.
So for me, I mean, that was the only part of the interview that I really felt like was new information, interesting information. The rest of it felt like a National Enquirer story. What do you think about it? Dan in Watertown, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Dan? What were your initial thoughts on the interview with Tucker?
Well, about getting the truth out there as far as conspiracy and stuff like that, I say, why not share the truth? I mean, on every incident, on everything, and let the people decide. I don't see anything wrong with that whatsoever.
But don't you feel like it was just like there wasn't a bunch of information that wasn't already rumored to have happened before? Nothing was really proven. Don't you feel like it's just rumors on top of rumors at this point?
Yeah, I don't like the whole rumors thing, but what Obama had written in his book, it pretty much just goes there. I mean, and why does it matter? I mean, we know what the government and the Democrats are capable of. They want to take away a drug, that doctors are saying that are helping save lives as far as COVID goes. So as far as I'm concerned, they're responsible for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of deaths. So, let's just put it all out there on the line. And not, I don't think there's any conspiracies or any mysteries. I think these guys are, just 100% working from a dark side.
No, hey, I agree with it, and I appreciate the call, Dan. Thanks for weighing in on that. I got a text from 1509, said, I've been in Nashville since 2008. I lived in Illinois before, and those rumors were happening when Obama was in the Senate in Illinois. I don't know if anything's true, but it sure seems to be right in line. And that's kind of my takeaway from the whole thing. Is it true? I don't know. Would you be surprised if it was true? Probably not. It was weird. It was weird. That's really all I got on that Tucker interview. It was interesting to watch. If you missed it, I did post it on my Twitter account. So go find me at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. 921 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There's some new information in that self-defense claim coming out of Old Hickory yesterday, where a woman says she had to shoot a man while she was being strangled. And we're going to get an update on that Cat 4 hurricane in the Caribbean. Is it headed to the U.S.? Details at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 9:27 on the 7th on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thursday, not Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
I have to make sure I'm on top of the date myself because Mac won't have my back when I go through a whole show thinking it's a different day.
You're like, happy 2022. It's Wednesday.
Hey, have a great Friday, everybody. It's Mac's Friday, right? I got a text from 1731 said that interview with Larry Sinclair and Tucker they're referring to, that interview just explained why Obama wears mom jeans. I didn't know Obama wore mom jeans.
Yeah, was unaware.
But it's funny nonetheless. I got a text from 6766 said, I'm very well informed, but I did not know those stories. I didn't know some of those stories either. It's interesting. It's interesting. 9845 says, unless I see it, it's just gossip. And I agree. It definitely feels like gossip. 5711 also said, yeah, just feels like a trashy story. It does, and I worry that Tucker's lowering himself. I mean, what did the numbers do on that anyway? I don't think the numbers were that great on it. And a lot of the replies I got on Twitter were, right back in 2008, doesn't feel like a big deal. What were the views on it? Let me check the Tucker Carlson Twitter because I doubt it got anywhere near. It got 13.5 million views. I mean, so people did tune in for it. Nothing like the Trump video, which was but we knew that.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
I wonder what the RFK video got.
Yeah, that'd be a good kind of.
So the Dave Portnoy video, which was right before it, got 13.9 million views. Okay, so it's right in line with Dave Portnoy, but that one's been out for a week now. The Prime Minister of the Prime Minister of Hungary, okay, that video got 126 million views. Okay.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that one. Yep.
That one was great.
Yeah, it was a good one.
The Trump one obviously just blew everything out of the water. That's not even a good one to look at.
Yeah, it's not fair.
The Vivek Ramaswamy got 45.7 million views.
Okay.
So, I mean, will this one do the numbers that the other ones did? Maybe. I don't know. It felt like he lowered himself for that interview. And I feel like he could have done it. He could have done the exact same interview with somebody else, touched on the subject, and then had more content as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it felt like he did a lot of it during that Adam Carolla podcast.
Yeah.
And maybe he did the Adam Carolla podcast. He sees it go viral, and then he wants to jump in and capitalize on that viral success. I don't know. I felt like it was beneath him. I would take 100 more RFK interviews over Larry Sinclair's, but that's just me. 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now in Nashville, new information on the woman claiming self-defense after shooting a man in the head yesterday morning in Old Hickory. Police say Aisha Sweeney had an order of protection on that man, 29-year-old DeCorian Scott, who was arrested in February for violating the terms of that order. Sweeney claims she shot Scott yesterday morning as she was being strangled. Scott's in the hospital. Hurricane Lee has grown to a Cat 4 storm in the Caribbean. Here's Ginger Z.
Part of that's because the water temperatures are so above normal. We're talking 3 to 4 degrees above normal where it sits now, but it does start to enter cooler waters. On top of that, you've got the steering high pressure system that will start to allow it to come closer to the East Coast. That's by next midweek.
Millions of Americans sweltering through a late September heat wave. Record-breaking temperatures gripping the U.S. from the south up to New England and in Jacksonville, Florida. A tragic reminder that heat can kill. A 2-year-old child discovered left in a vehicle. Police believe her death is heat-related. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. When we get to retirement, what do we want to do? We want to go and kick back, right? But we also want to take an income from our investment portfolios. And there are a lot of common myths that I hear about how do you take an income from an investment portfolio. One is that people will get into, this was really big a few years ago, really big, real estate investment trust. Now, real estate gets rented and it kicks off an income, and then you have some kind of dividend that's paid, and because the REIT has to pay out most of the dividend, it's a great way to take income in retirement. But what happens, like what happened recently, when all of a sudden the properties go unrented? What happens to your income? Bye-bye, it's gone. Another thing that I see is this: people buy stocks or stock mutual funds that are dividend paying, and what we'll do is we'll live off the dividends. Well, what is the dividend? It's part of the earnings of the company. So you got the earnings of the company, right? And then what happens is the company may pay out some of the dividend, and they call that a dividend when they pay it out, or they may retain some of it, and it's called retained earnings. Well, the problem is this: what if the company's earnings go down? Just like the real estate investment trust up here, what if the earnings go down? What happens to your dividend? It goes away. All of a sudden, it's bye-bye to your retirement income. So what do we want to do? We want to diversify way better. If you look at the academic research on investing and how to take income from a portfolio, quite often what it is saying, okay, I'm going to have some money in various asset classes. Large companies, small companies, value companies, growth companies, international companies, short-term bonds and intermediate bonds, and so on and so forth. And what I do is I look at these different areas of the market, and they have a historic return. And what happens if the portfolio does, this area of the market does better than this one? Well, in that particular year, I'm going to take income from this part of the portfolio. Then the next year, maybe this area does better than everything else. I'll take income from there. So what I'm doing is diversifying, which is an age-old concept. I mean, good grief, Nobel Prize winning concept of investing, and I actually apply it to taking income from a portfolio. So why is it that we often see this kind of stuff? It's because of the fees and the commissions and all of the incentives to sell you things that maybe aren't in your best interest. And a lot of advisors, you look at it, they aren't held to a fiduciary standard. In other words, they don't have to keep your best interest first. Paul Winkler, Inc., we hold ourselves voluntarily to that standard, and we actually disclose it in our disclosure brochures. So if you want to know more about what we do and learn more and educate along the way, go to paulwinkler.com. Set up a free 15-minute phone call so that you can learn more, become an educated investor. First step is easy. paulwinkler.com, free 15-minute phone call, and get started ASAP, because you can't afford to wait. You've got to make sure you get this right. You don't get a second shot.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 9:37. My name is Chris Hand. Thank you for being a part of the show. I see you guys on the Super Text line. I try to respond to everybody. It's honestly unsustainable to try and respond to everyone, but I do try and respond to a lot of people, and I try to read every single one. So even if I don't respond to you, please continue the text. I do see them, and I appreciate you adding your commentary and your takes to the show. Literally, one of the best parts of the show is you guys on the text line or on the phone lines at 615-737-9986. The other big news yesterday was it was breaking news from Hunter Biden, and CNN of all people were covering it. It was pretty crazy to watch Wolf Blitzer have to say this live.
And there's more breaking news just coming into CNN right now. The special counsel, David Weiss, intends to seek an indictment against Hunter Biden relating to gun charges by the end of the month. That according to a new court filing. Biden had previously reached a deal involving a gun possession charge that would have allowed him to avoid prosecution if he met certain conditions over a 24-month period. Once his plea deal, though, fell apart in court, the future of the gun deal has been in limbo.
So they're going to be charging Hunter Biden on the gun charges. Interesting. Took me by surprise. My initial thoughts were good, awesome, like he deserves it. And then as I sat there and pondered on it, I was like, no, they're just throwing us a bone. They're throwing us a bone. In the grand scheme of things, Hunter can still be pardoned by his dad. So get him charged, get him found guilty before the presidency is up, right? Especially if Joe's only going to be serving one term. The penalty for this could be up to 10 years in federal prison. There's no way that happens to Hunter Biden. So when my first reaction is awesome, excellent, my second thought is no. They're throwing us a bone. They're sweeping this under the rug. This is just, they're trying to get the attention off the two-tier justice system and make it seem like Hunter Biden will be treated fairly, even though we know he won't be. He won't be because he's a Biden. And that's what they do. They benefit from the system that they've corrupted. He could be indicted by the end of this month. That's what CNN is reporting. They also went on to say other charges are still on the table.
Well, and there is the question about whether this investigation would broaden further or whether there are other potential crimes that are now back on the table. They brought up the potential, foreign agent dealings. So, look, Hunter Biden now has a host of problems that he didn't have or didn't think he had a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he has problems. I think he knew he had these problems a couple of weeks ago. I think he's known that he's had these problems since he had that Secret Service detail take him to court that day when his plea deal fell apart. But they're just sweeping it under the rug. I mean, if they were really going to go after Hunter, they have to go after Joe too. And the stuff against Joe is big. I mean, the allegations include, but are not limited to, real evidence like photos, texts, an audio recording, IRS and former business partner and whistleblower testimonies. I mean, like, just looking at the list of what we have on these guys, the Biden family's suspicious activity reports of wire transfers, texts, emails, WhatsApp messages, photos of Joe with Hunter's business partners, Joe Biden's voicemail to Hunter, 5 individuals referencing Joe as the big guy, 2 whistleblower testimonies, the FBI FD 1023 form alleging recorded phone calls and texts between Biden and a Burisma executive. You have the FBI informant alleging bribes. You have a video that we all know about with Joe Biden bragging about firing the Ukrainian prosecutor. You have Hunter's statements on the laptop texting about giving half of his income to his dad. You have the former White House aide saying the FBI ignored Joe Biden's role in the Ukraine business dealings. You have millions flowing into Biden family bank accounts. You have Hunter paying for Joe Biden's expenses, and then you have the email aliases. So, I don't know. Like, nothing's gonna come of this. If anything was gonna come of this, it would have already happened. I don't want to be a doomer. I really don't. But, certainly seems like They may go after Hunter for the gun charge. Yeah, that's great. It's great. But I think they're just throwing us a bone. I just think they're throwing us a bone. What do you? I don't know. 1583 texts in, said the gun charge is the least of what he should be charged with, and they know that it can't be linked to Joe. Bingo. It's literally throwing conservatives a bone. But, you know, what do I know? What do you think? 615-737-9986. 3704 said, boy, Chris, you came out of the gate hot. Now you're cooling quite a bit. Yep. Sorry. I'm trying. Hunter, you know, I can't be excited about this. I can't be excited that Joe, you know, Hunter is going to be charged or indicted over this gun charge. Just doesn't seem like a big deal. It just seems like they're throwing us a bone. That's what they do. Just seems like they're sweeping it under the rug. You know, sorry. I tried to come out of the gate hot. But this just feels like a wet blanket. And I want to be excited about it. I want to be excited about the Bidens seeing charges on this kind of stuff. But it just doesn't feel real. It feels forced. And it feels like it's just, you know, more of the same. Dennis, who's calling all the way from Florida, has a comment on Hunter Biden. What's up, Dennis? You're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, I think we're just being stroked. If you think about it, what will happen is they'll maybe make him go to trial. He'll plead guilty with exception. He didn't know it was against the law or some goofy thing. But all of a sudden, it'll be, all right, we're going to sentence you to 2 years in jail, and we want your jail time to start in 2024. What do you think is going to happen?
He's going to get a pardon.
He's going to get a pardon.
Yep.
He'll get a pardon even if it's early.
No,
so the whole thing is another Biden scam, and it's just sad. This whole thing is so ridiculous.
I completely agree with you, and they're just trying to get rid of that illusion of the two-tier justice system to be like, we're you know, Hunter's facing penalties for his crimes too. See, guys, and it's just garbage. It's hot garbage.
Well, you know, the problem with the country is the fact that people vote for people they like, and that is the dumbest thing in the world. People should be experiencing what's going on, have an idea of what's happening and how it affects them, and then have an educated vote. I didn't vote for Trump because I particularly liked him. I voted for him because he's a CEO that knows how to get things done, and everybody else has got a learning curve. Do you remember back when it all started? He was in office, and for the first 60 days, he was chastised because there was all kinds of problems in the White House. The man doesn't know what he's doing.
Yep.
Well, he hired people based on recommendations from other swamp creatures, and basically he vetted them individually. And as he found out they were not acceptable, he fired them.
No, you're absolutely right. And I'm old enough to remember that they said Trump would get us into World War III, and we had no new wars under Trump. And he struck so many peace deals like the Abraham Accords, like with North Korea. And now we have a president who is supposedly having the adults back in town. And, you know, we're on the brink of World War III.
What I see on the news and on different channels where they're doing interviews, there are people trying to mitigate the Trump legacy, which is already significant. And they're trying to kind of soft sell DeSantis. DeSantis is a learning individual, pupil in process. He's doing a great job in Florida, but he has no overseas or worldwide experience. And Trump has all the experience in the world, and we need that desperately.
Yeah, I've been out on DeSantis for a while. I think he's a good governor. I like his response to hurricanes. I like the way he governs, but he just seems like he would be a weak neocon type of president.
And he'll be subjected to the swamp creatures coming in telling him what to do. And, you know, that's overwhelming after a period. And I'm sure that he can say no, but he doesn't know when to say no with all the other things that he'd have to know about.
Well, and then
perfect-
DeSantis, a guy like DeSantis, would also have to keep an eye towards his second term and keep governing to be reelected. Where a guy like Trump can come in, know the system, and just do what he thinks needs to be done because there's no worry of a reelection campaign.
Well, if you remember, that's what he did from the get-go. He frankly had enemies on both sides of the aisle. The Republicans and the Democrats never wanted to see him in place because he said he was going to clean the swamp, and they're the swamp.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Hey, Dennis,
from my stand-
what were we going to say?
From my standpoint, the perfect ticket would be Trump as president, DeSantis as the VP, and a learning curve. And by the time he got done with 4 years with Trump, he would be the best choice for the next cycle.
Yeah, I've said for a while, I think that if DeSantis had just waited, he could have been the clear-cut favorite for 2028. Easily. But,
This is better for him. This is absolutely better for him. He gets to learn from the guy that really can do the job. And then all he has to do is do it the same way.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I appreciate the call, Dennis. Hey, Tim in Franklin, you have a thought on Hunter Biden getting possibly indicted by the end of this month for the gun charge. What's up, Tim?
Hey, well, I'm just thinking about that, and I agree with you totally that it's kind of throwing us a bone to deflect our attention off other things. And what I'm thinking about, obviously, are all of the payments and serving on these foreign boards and, suspicious activity reports and so forth. I know when I worked in finance in a multinational company for years. I'm retired now. But, I know the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act was before us every year. We had to review and refresh ourselves on that and look at any transactions that occurred, that were international and review them and make sure that everything was above board and nobody was taking any undue payments from any foreign entities. And it's like we went overboard on that stuff, and now it just doesn't matter with these government people, and it's just so frustrating. That's my comment and my thoughts.
Well, Tim, thanks for the call. I really appreciate it, man, and I absolutely agree with you. Like, a lot of this stuff, there's no excuse that they should be doing what they're doing, but they're still doing it. They're still getting away with it. I had a text from 1063, and 1063 in response to one of our last callers saying Trump DeSantis should be the ticket. Says Trump RFK 2024. That would be a ticket that would blow people's minds. I'd vote for it. I know a lot of people don't like RFK. Don't like his liberal policies. But that ticket would be undeniable. Trump Vivek could be an interesting ticket too. And I know a lot of people don't like Vivek. It's so funny. It's like there's no candidate that really has 100% of support from everybody.
No.
Just nobody.
If DeSantis would have backed down a long time ago and gone the Trump VP route, then maybe. But that ship sailed.
That ship has sailed. It's crazy to me. The Republican Party right now is wild.
It's nuts, man.
It's the wild, wild west. I mean, you have people that want Trump to pick RFK Jr. as his VP.
Yeah, a lot of people.
And I don't think it's a bad idea. This is something that if you had told me it in 2016, I wouldn't have believed it.
And then you've got people split over Vivek or Vivek, some believe.
Oh, hey, I'm out on Vivek.
I know. I know it.
It's crazy. It's a crazy time to be in politics, but it's fun. We're having fun.
Exactly.
951 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Metro Police say there was an order of protection involved in that claim of self-defense shooting in Old Hickory yesterday. Details on that and other top stories coming up at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. 9:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Find me on the internet. Twitter, Instagram, Truth Social, all of them at Chris Hand on air. The Super Text line is just devolved into a Trump running mate conversation.
Yep.
I do want to say when it comes to VPs, there's one VP who's absolutely ready to be president.
Questions about the president's age often go hand in hand with questions about how you would step in the role, if necessary. Do you feel prepared for that possibility? And serving as vice president prepared you for that job?
Yes.
You didn't let me finish the question. Yes.
Next question.
Yes.
Yes.
Classic Kamala. At least she didn't awkwardly laugh. Although she has so much Botox, you guys, it looks like you could ice skate on her forehead. It looks like it's been buffed and shined. It's unbelievable.
My girlfriend and I have had this exact conversation.
Buffed and shined.
Seriously, there's no emotion in her face. It's the craziest thing.
It's quite creepy.
I'm not a fan of Botox.
Yes.
So now she's wide-eyed all the time.
And she doesn't move. It's she's do it while I'm smiling. It's dude, shoot it in while I'm smiling. Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Shoot it in while I'm smiling.
Okay. She's ready, guys. She's ready. She was born ready for this.
And serving as vice president prepared you for that job?
Yes.
I just love the awkward pause from the guy. He goes,
that job?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, Chris, she is the best female VP we've ever had. So.
Oh, and on that note, it's time for the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ten o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now in Nashville, Metro Police say there was an order of protection against a man shot in the head in Old Hickory yesterday. Police say 29-year-old Aisha Sweeney claimed self-defense, says she was being strangled when she reached into her purse, pulled a pistol. 29-year-old Decorian Scott shot in the head, currently hospitalized. Police say Scott was arrested in February for violating that protection order that was issued in August. Election 2024. Mike Dubusky says Google making some changes to its advertising rules ahead of the next presidential election.
Political advertising that makes use of artificial intelligence will have to prominently disclose as much, using language like "this audio was computer generated" or "this image does not depict real events." Some candidates, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, have already used AI to create or alter content for their campaign ads. Google's latest policy update is set to take effect in mid-November, about a year out from the 2024 election.
Now, minor changes like brightening or resizing an image do not require disclosure. Well, the cost of air travel is going down. Experts say if you plan to travel for the upcoming holiday season, book your trip in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Haley Berg's a lead economist at Hopper.
You want to book both your Christmas and Thanksgiving travel by mid-October, but expect that prices will be the lowest between about September 15th and October 15th.
Domestic airfare this fall down 9% compared to last year at this time, down 29% compared to this past summer. Right now in Kentucky, sports betting has arrived. Governor Andy Beshear placed the state's first sports wager at Churchill Downs this morning. A $20 parlay for the over on wins for the University of Kentucky and University of Louisville football teams. Beshear is scheduled to place a second wager today at 1:30 at the Red Mile in Lexington. Officials have estimated the state could pull in $23 million a year in tax revenue from sports betting. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand for the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin. I know so many people that have dealt with opioid addiction. It is so sad. And it usually starts when you get an injury, when you're dealing with that nagging pain, and a doctor prescribes you a pill, and then you're stuck. Well, if you don't want to take a pill because you're worried about that being the path it leads to, you got to check out the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin. It's why I'm such a big supporter of the Dr. Gill Center. No pills necessary, no matter what kind of pain you're dealing with. Back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, or elbow pain. It can all be treated with no pills, no needles, and no downtime. At the Dr. Gill Center, they've been helping people get back to a pain-free life for over 30 years. And right now, the Dr. Gill Center wants to offer you a special offer if you're suffering with pain and looking for non-surgical solutions. So get this, right now, $49 gets you all of your initial exams, x-ray, and a complete review of findings. So less than $50 to find out what's causing your pain. Give the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin a call now and begin your journey in becoming pain-free. The number, 615-882-4838. That's 615-882-4838. And tell them Chris Hand told you to call. Don't take a pill. Call Dr. Gill. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is Chris Hand. The Super Text line is so fun. Somebody accused me of having overlords. I'm bowing down to my overlords.
You know, you've always given those overlord vibes, man.
I feel like I'm the least overlordy vibing kind of guy there is.
Just kidding. That's fun. That's a great text.
Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna do what my overlords tell me to do. I got my overlord orders, so I'm gonna do that. All right. So Kamala Harris was asked if she's ready to step up and be president.
Questions about the president's age often go hand in hand with questions about how you would step in the role, if necessary. Do you feel prepared for that possibility? And serving as vice president prepared you for that job?
Yes.
Okay. So funny. Then he had a chance to recover his thoughts, and he finished the question.
And how would you describe that process?
Which process?
Like as far as being ready for that.
Well, first of all, I'm answering your hypothetical.
Now she's getting nervous. She's like, "Crap, I stepped all over that." Let me just make sure he knows I'm answering a hypothetical here.
But Joe Biden's going to be fine, so that is not going to come to fruition.
Yeah, Joe's fine, you guys. Are you ready? Yes. At a moment's notice. But it won't happen. Joe's fine.
But let us also understand that every vice president understands that when they take the oath, that they must be very clear about the responsibility they may have to take over the job of being president. I am no different.
I am no different. I am very clear. I am very different, and I'm no different. If you were looking at a Venn diagram, it would be me enjoying being vice president, me being ready, and where they overlap, I am no different. Classic Kamala. I mean, she just wants to be president so bad. Tulsi Gabbard ended her career in the primaries, and I see a lot of people saying that Tulsi would be a great VP pick for Trump. Maybe. Tulsi ruined her career. Tulsi ruined Kamala Harris's career in Detroit when she said in front of a bunch of Detroit moms, "What about your marijuana convictions when you were DA in California?" And then she had nothing to say. Nothing to say. And the crowd was like, "Ooh, got him." So I don't think Kamala could ever be president. She may be the most unlikable politician since Hillary Clinton. Like, I mean, who else is more unlikable than Kamala Harris? Anybody? I don't think so. I'm starting to like Mitch McConnell just as little as some of these Democrats. This is what he said the other day about Ukraine.
The president has, I think, been too slow to keep the commitments that he's made publicly, but at least he's supporting the effort. I think he could have done it more skillfully, but he is supporting the effort. and I intend to continue to support it, and I hope the majority of my colleagues will feel the same way.
I mean, the majority of Americans don't want to keep supporting the war in Ukraine. Mitch McConnell has got to retire. All of these old politicians have got to step aside. I'm losing my patience. Mitch, thanks for not letting Merrick Garland become Supreme Court Justice. Appreciate you. Step aside, bud. It's time. It's time. And his colleagues should tell him that they shouldn't be talking about Ukraine with Mitch. They should be telling him to chill and go relax. Go be on the beach. Somebody texted and said, Mitch McConnell looks like he does too much Botox as well. No man that age should not have any wrinkles. Interesting point. Mitch was asked about his freeze-ups, and this is what he had to say about it.
What have doctors said is the precise medical reason for those two freeze-ups?
What Dr. Monahan's report addressed was concerns people might have that some things that happened to me did happen. Well, they didn't. And it's really, I have nothing to add to that. I think you pretty well covered the subject.
What do you say to those who are calling on you to step down? Do you have any plans to retire anytime soon?
I have no announcements to make on that subject.
But what do you say to those who are...
I'm going to finish my term as leader, and I'm going to finish my Senate term.
I mean, I think that we just need to have Mitch step down. I think it would be good for the Republican Party for Mitch to step aside, and it would give us a lot more weight when we tell Dianne Feinstein to step aside, when we tell Fetterman to step aside, when we tell Biden to step aside. He's got to just go chill on a beach somewhere. I mean, these people that are just hanging on to power by any means necessary have to go. And to a certain extent, I'm not even sure if it's Mitch. I think it might be the handlers around him. I mean, during that last freeze up, you know, the handler next to him was like, "Does anybody else have a question for the senator?" It's like, no, the man's having a medical episode. The people around them are just as bad. The swamp is deep. Mitch needs to step aside. Mitch McConnell does not fit in the new Republican Party, in my view. You may disagree with me. I'd like to hear you if you do. 615-737-9986 on the phone line or the text line, 615-737-9986. But, I mean, these guys have to stop. They have to stop just being so power hungry. Even John Kennedy agrees that Mitch McConnell is too old for the gig, but he also agrees that there's no way he's going to step aside.
They hardly ever talk about President Biden. They would have a lot more credibility if members of the press would go to every Democrat in the Senate and ask them what they think about President Biden's capabilities to serve, and then come talk to us about McConnell. The American people clearly have concerns about President Biden. I mean, he talks like he's from outer space sometimes. And that's a legitimate issue, but it's never covered on Capitol Hill. This week, it's been all McConnell all the time. And I know McConnell. I know him well. And mark my words, when the world ends and hell freezes over, there will be three things left: Chuck Grassley, Mitch McConnell, and cockroaches.
Yep, that sounds about right. You know, it's just getting crazy. These older members of Congress need to step aside. The older members of the Senate got to go. Can you trust Mitch McConnell to do anything in the war for big tech? You know, does Mitch McConnell even know how to use a Facebook page, let alone artificial intelligence? That's where we are today. Can Mitch McConnell or Joe Biden explain the dangers of artificial intelligence? I don't think any politician that can't explain that should even be in the position to run the country, because this artificial intelligence stuff is getting crazy. It's getting crazy.
When you say explain that, what would you
Just be able to comprehend it.
Gotcha.
Just literally explain artificial intelligence to me.
What is it?
Yeah, what is it? Do you know what I mean? Like, they couldn't explain how to use Instagram.
What did Kamala say? Well, it's artificial intelligence. What did she say?
Oh yeah. I mean, but like, if you can't even comprehend the biggest challenges that we're facing, you shouldn't be anywhere near government. Period. And that's on both sides of the aisle. Mitch McConnell's got to go. And I like John Kennedy, but I like him because he says funny things sometimes. Like, John, can you explain artificial intelligence to me? If you can't, I feel like you got to move aside. I feel like it's a time for a younger class of politician. Is that weird? Am I wrong for thinking that?
No, I think it's good to have people in power dictating the future that are going to be a part of it.
Yeah, literally.
That's harsh, but that's the truth.
How much time does Mitch have left? Seriously, I mean, the poor guy, he has gotten so skinny in the past few years.
Sad.
Like, it is. I feel bad. I feel like it's elder abuse. I feel the same way about Joe Biden. I feel like it's elder abuse. Like
Feinstein.
Yeah, Feinstein, they gave power of attorney to her daughter. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, these guys have to step aside. And our adversaries are like preying on these weaknesses. They know where we're weak. It scares me that this is who we have in power. It really does. And I feel like we need younger, sharper people.
And I'd say on the artificial intelligence point, more than just explain it, like, what are we doing to protect people with this, combat this, set up safety resources, all these things. We need to be thinking 5-10 years ahead of this because it's going to excel quicker than it already has this year.
Well, and like, we played that funny song during the Amigos. I'll play it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Trump, we didn't start the fire, right? If you played it for Mitch McConnell, I'd be like, oh, I didn't know President Trump was in a recording studio. Is that what he's doing in his free time? You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't have any idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go down the line to like deep fakes. They wouldn't be able to comprehend it. Like, Mitch McConnell would be fooled by a deep fake.
Didn't even think about that.
He would. He would absolutely be fooled by a deep fake. And then they would be, just stumped. They'd be stumped. And I'm not saying I wouldn't be fooled by a deep fake or you couldn't be fooled by a deep fake, but the tech is out there. It's advancing so fast. So fast. I've said this a couple times. There was a college program. I forget what college it was. Google what college this was. They used artificial intelligence and Wi-Fi to be able to map inside your house. So artificial intelligence can use the Wi-Fi signals in your house to bounce off of the walls and basically see through walls and map your entire house the way Batman did in the End of the Dark Knight.
Carnegie Mellon. Yeah.
I mean, that's just college kids in their spare time. Imagine what militaries are doing out there. You know what I mean? Like, we are so far down this road. If Mitch McConnell can't even like speak, if Mitch McConnell's so worried about giving money to Ukraine, like, dude, your finger is far from the pulse. You are not in tune with the American people. You're just not. You're definitely not in tune with the Republican Party. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm over these older politicians. It's time for them to move on. Mitch McConnell, Dianne Feinstein, all of them, either side. This is not a Republican or a Democrat issue. This is an age issue. This is a challenges that we're facing issue. And if you're too old, you need to get out of the way. You were never supposed to be a career politician in this country. You never were. That was never what the founding fathers wanted. You were supposed to serve your time and get out of the way. And now these guys are literally in the way. They're literally in the way. Mitch McConnell would be fooled by an artificial intelligence call from his wife. He'd be like, my wife was kidnapped. Remember hearing that? They said that artificial intelligence would call people and use the voice of your loved ones to say, hey, you have to send money here. Mitch McConnell would be fooled by artificial intelligence doing that if his wife was in like a different room. It's crazy. It's sad. It's terrifying. But the leadership that we have aren't prepared for the challenges that we're facing. They're just not. And I don't know how else to put that. But Mitch McConnell worried about Ukraine, Mitch McConnell, oh, my health is fine. And the people around these politicians have got to be evil. There's no other way to describe it. It's elder abuse, and it's evil. It really is. Brandy texted in. She said there's vacuums that map out your house, talking about the Roombas. Yeah.
A little bit different, but
A little different. A little different. But, John texted in. He said term limits. I don't know if term limits are the answer, because then you lose a guy like Rand Paul, who I think is sharp. I don't know if term limits is the answer. Age limits, maybe. I don't know.
You'd run into the same issue there, I think.
Really?
Well, I mean, shoot, man. Donald Trump is 2.5 years younger than Joe Biden. It's not like there's a huge separation there. But there is, and as far as appearance and as far as mental acuity, it's evident that they are light years away. But as far as age is concerned, they're not.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. See, it's just like it's such a tricky issue. It's like, what how do we fix it? I don't have any idea. I don't know. Are we too far gone already? Probably. That's the black pill in me slipping out. I'm just like, yeah, it's probably, we're probably screwed anyway, guys. So, all right. It is 10:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We got more on the way. I am going to play that Trump artificial intelligence song for you because it's funny. Because at least if AI is going to take over the world and we're going to find ourselves in a Terminator-style future, at least we can laugh along the way. It is 10:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We are learning more about a claim of self-defense after a man was shot in the head in Old Hickory yesterday. We'll tell you about it coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. 10:25 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you want to see the video for this, it is on my Twitter profile, at Chris Hand on Air. I think the Twitter video makes it even better. Even better. All right, so we were talking about artificial intelligence. I played this on the Gang of Amigos earlier this morning. It's not one of the Trump rap songs. I had to bring something different for the guys.
Okay.
Dan didn't really like the rap songs as much.
Oh, dude, I was bumping it.
I found this one. This is from the Dilly Meme team.
Okay.
Have you heard of the Dilly Meme team?
Yeah. Some excellent farmers.
You've heard of the Dilly Meme team?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. The Dilly Meme team is based. Just they're some of my favorite memers. I dabble in memes. It's one of my favorites. All right, so cut the regulators. All right. Not something I really like to say because I think regulators are dumb.
Oh, I know. That was so sad, but it had to be done.
It's like Funky Fresh, the bumper music. But this is Donald Trump. We didn't start the fire. And this should scare you when it comes to artificial intelligence, but it's also like, at least we can laugh as the world burns. So this is Donald Trump. We didn't start the fire.
I am officially running for president of the United States.
No.
Robin Mueller, Comey, Ray, China virus, RFK, Jim Acosta, Russia, overturning Roe. Lunch McCarthy, Tudor, Dixon, crazy Nancy, communism, North Korea, born in Kenya, Barry Santoro.
The video is so good.
Roger Stone, Trailer Swamp, Ramaswamy, Taiwan, Kanye, the Queen and I, Mike Lindell, the pillow guy, laptop, Keto Pete, Hunter Biden, crack feet, Mariano, Jen Psaki, Beta Gisbert, goodbye. He didn't start the fire. It was always burned.
The full video is at Chris Hand on Air. And hit the follow button, I'll follow back. These next two verses are really fire.
Guatemala, Molotov, Kaepernick and Provorov, Herschel Walker, Charamilla, Kami, TikTok, Michael Cohen, Meatball, Avenatti, Rand Paul, Ivan Beck, Tap Calls, iconic mug shot, Epstein, Weinstein, Dilly's got a meme team, Laura Luma, Rosen, Jack Posobiec, Pakistan, Little Marco, Pencil Neck, censorship by Big Tech, Maddie Gates, Nancy Mace, trouble fed by Nunes. We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire. No, we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. WikiLeaks, walnut sauce, comment pizza, children lost, bleach bit, FBI, Adam Schiff, another lie, James Woods, build the wall, Steve Scalise, baseball, Seth Rich, homicide, Haitian children off inside.
He says Seth Rich and then he says Arkansas.
Rally Enter, Space Force, Melania, Ron Paul, Ross Perot, NAFTA was a must-go. Gorsuch, quarantine, Kavanaugh, and ECB, Bloody Mika, Psycho, China's in the Congo. We didn't start the fire. It was always
Artificial intelligence, man. It's so good.
Such a gift.
It's a gift and a curse, right?
Yes.
Real Times, Little Kim, fake news strikes again. Michael Flynn, Kraken, Ukraine invasion. Prince in Arabia, British Royals mania. Horseface, CNN, Mike Pence, not a friend. Deep State, Twitter X, China spy, swallow sex. Trump votes thrown away. What else do I have to say?
So good. All right, if you want to see the video, it's on my Twitter page, at Chris Hand on Air. I mean, Trump's got aviators on. He's literally singing the lyrics. It's crazy.
Carry Lake, Cyber Ninja, votes of fame, Peter Strzok, Tupac, Russiagate, Black Rock, Juicy Booty, Alex Stein, Gomez on the airline, Soleimani in Iran, pull out in Afghanistan, J6 torture, go inside, trans violence on the rise, China threats, FEMA camps, paper men, stranded vets, Biden's always down the shore, but there's broken every law, retribution, this is war, we can't take it anymore.
Absolutely based, right? All right, hit the follow button for me on Twitter. I'll follow you back at Chris Hand on Air. I'm in the weeds on the memes, and I'm always sharing them, so we can have some fun there. Right now, the time, my friends, 10:29. Ken Weaver's waiting in the weeds with your headlines on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now in Nashville, the man shot in the head in Old Hickory yesterday. We have learned had an order of protection against him, according to Metro Police. They say 29-year-old Decorian Scott was arrested for violation of it in February. Then yesterday morning, he allegedly threatened to kill and strangled 29-year-old Aisha Sweeney. Sweeney tells police she pulled a pistol from her purse and shot Scott in self-defense. Scott's being treated at Skyline Medical Center. War on Ukraine. Secretary of State Antony Blinken toured a demining facility. Said that Ukrainians are working hard to deactivate the ordinance.
By some estimates, as much as 1/3 of Ukraine's territory has to deal with mines or unexploded ordnance. 1/3 of the entire country. Farmland throughout the country. Unexploded ordnance, mines. Farmland that was feeding 80 million people around the world.
The U.S. pledging more than $90 million to help with demining efforts in the Ukraine. And the number of Americans applying for unemployment benefits last week fell to the lowest level in 7 months. Another sign the labor market remains largely unaffected by higher interest rates. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. When we get to retirement, what do we want to do? We want to go and kick back, right? But we also want to take an income from our investment portfolios. And there are a lot of common myths that I hear about how do you take an income from an investment portfolio. One is that people will get into, this was really big a few years ago, really big, real estate investment trust. Now, real estate gets rented and it kicks off an income, and then you have some kind of dividend that's paid, and because the REIT has to pay out most of the dividend, it's a great way to take income in retirement. But what happens, like what happened recently, when all of a sudden the properties go unrented? What happens to your income? Bye-bye, it's gone. Another thing that I see is this: people buy stocks or stock mutual funds that are dividend paying, and what we'll do is we'll live off the dividends. Well, what is the dividend? It's part of the earnings of the company. So you got the earnings of the company, right? And then what happens is the company may pay out some of the dividend, and they call that a dividend when they pay it out, or they may retain some of it, and it's called retained earnings. Well, the problem is this: what if the company's earnings go down? Just like the real estate investment trust up here, what if the earnings go down? What happens to your dividend? It goes away. All of a sudden, it's bye-bye to your retirement income. So what do we want to do? We want to diversify way better. If you look at the academic research on investing and how to take income from a portfolio, quite often what it is saying, okay, I'm going to have some money in various asset classes. Large companies, small companies, value companies, growth companies, international companies, short-term bonds and intermediate bonds, and so on and so forth. And what I do is I look at these different areas of the market, and they have a historic return. And what happens if the portfolio does this area of the market does better than this one? Well, in that particular year, I'm going to take income from this part of the portfolio. Then the next year, maybe this area does better than everything else. I'll take income from there. So what I'm doing is diversifying, which is an age-old concept. I mean, good grief, Nobel Prize winning concept of investing. And I actually apply it to taking income from a portfolio. So why is it that we often see this kind of stuff? It's because of the fees and the commissions and all of the incentives to sell you things that maybe aren't in your best interest. And a lot of advisors, you look at it, they aren't held to a fiduciary standard. In other words, they don't have to keep your best interest first. Paul Winkler, Inc., we hold ourselves voluntarily to that standard, and we actually disclose it in our disclosure brochures. So if you want to know more about what we do and learn more and educate along the way, go to paulwinkler.com. Set up a free 15-minute phone call so that you can learn more, become an educated investor. First step is easy. paulwinkler.com, free 15-minute phone call, and get started ASAP, because you can't afford to wait. You've got to make sure you get this right. You don't get a second shot.
friends at Paul Winkler Inc. I got 4 kids. I'm already, dreading having to pay for weddings. Well, not dreading. I'm looking forward to the weddings, but paying for them, dreading. College down the road, possibly. That's going to be a steep price, especially with this inflation and this economy. So we have to have a financial plan. And before I met Paul and his team, I honestly didn't have a financial plan. But after I got to meet Paul, I do now. And because Paul and his team hold themselves to a higher level of fiduciary standard than is required, I'm required by the government to tell you that I'm paid every time this commercial airs. But it's because I got to sit down with Paul, break bread, have my questions answered, that I decided to become a client myself. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm impressed. Paul's a smart guy, and he definitely knows the financial world better than I do. And with Paul and his team, nothing is done on commission. I can't stress enough how important that is to me. Nothing is done on commission. So I know that when they tell me what to do and how to do it, they're helping me make decisions for me, not helping me make decisions for them. It's a big deal. The other guys may do it differently. But Paul and his team, nothing is done on commission. They're big on education, and their investment education is evidence-based and backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. So do what I did. Check them out. Every office is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years of experience. You can feel the difference between Paul's team and the rest. That experience equals confidence. So do what I did. Talk to them today. Set up a complimentary 15-minute phone call right now on his website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com, or call 615-851-1950. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Did you see what happened at the Yankees game last night? They keep doing this at Yankee Stadium. Every time the national anthem is playing, they just unveil these huge Trump banners. It's crazy that it's happening in New York City at Yankee Stadium, of all places. Last night, during the national anthem, right as they hit God Bless America, this guy unveils a banner huge from the top, from the overhang. Says, Trump or death. Trump or death. In New York City. That's a statement, man.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Talk about cojones.
It's getting crazy out there. Crowds seem to like it. The ones that noticed, at least. A lot of people being respectful, doing their thing. But, I mean, on the TV side, boom, huge banner. Crazy.
Dang.
Yeah. Hey, good for them. Sometimes you got to go out there and, try and make a statement. That's what they're doing. The president, the current resident, he tries to make statements. Karine Jean-Pierre said that he took his mask off yesterday because it was such a powerful speech. He had to take it off. It was so powerful. And then Karine was also asked, well, why did the president run away after putting the medal on and did not stick around for the prayer? You remember the story. They were giving the Medal of Honor to, was it Lieutenant Stanley?
I think Larry Taylor. Was that
Larry Taylor?
Yeah,
I'm
Larry
so
Taylor.
sorry.
No,
my fault. Larry Taylor, from Tennessee, and they're giving him the medal. Usually you close with a prayer. Biden ran away as soon as they started clapping. Ridiculous. Karine Jean-Pierre, though, she was doing her best to cover for her boss. This is what she said about the president running away. Oh, hold on, sorry. This is what she said right now.
And he left as planned, as it was planned. He left when there was a pause in the program in order to minimize his close contact with attendees who are about to participate in a reception. And you all reported that, noticed that he left when there was a pause in the program because, again, he wanted to minimize certainly his impact on folks who were there.
Guys, it was planned for Joe to run out of the building like that when the clapping started. I swear that it's just been drilled into the man so many times. Once they clap, get out of the room. That's what he did. That's the only believable thing to me. He's so riddled with dementia that he probably just was like, oh, they're clapping. I got to go. I got to go before I start being asked questions. But Karine Jean-Pierre said, no. It was part of the plan. That was the plan the whole time. I mean, she also said he was going to be wearing his mask. She said wearing the mask was part of the plan. When you're in close contact with people, you must wear your mask, and he didn't wear his mask. So, but he did follow the other part of the plan that they made up after, they failed the first part of the plan. Once the plan failed, they had a plan to cover up the failure, and then they followed that plan. Kayleigh McEnany on Fox News. I like Kayleigh McEnany a lot. I think she's a firecracker. She didn't buy that was part of the plan.
I've never seen my former boss do that, President Trump. I've never seen President Bush do that. I've just not seen a commander-in-chief do that. Just walk away, you stand in reverence. So those speculating he wanted to see the spotlight, I'm sorry, I just don't buy it.
Yeah, in the words of the late, great Phil Valentine, Kayleigh McEnany called bovine scatology on that. It was a heaping, steaming, stinky pile of bovine scatology from Karine Jean-Pierre. Just a little BS for you. Classic. Karine Jean-Pierre. You know, if her mouth is moving, she's lying, as Dan Manda says, and she went on to talk about the president taking his mask off by mistake. You know, somebody said, did the president, did he take his mask off by mistake? He said he was going to wear his mask when he was in close contact with people, because we got to follow the guidance. We got to follow the science, right? Following the science is very, very important, right? Mac, following the science is important. You got to follow the science.
Of course.
So they said, you're going to keep the mask on, while we're in that 10-day window to follow the science. Was it a mistake that he took his mask off? Karine Jean-Pierre said, also part of the plan.
CDC guidelines for people who are exposed to COVID say that you should wear a high-quality mask anytime you're around others inside your home or indoors in public. The president, of course, did wear that mask in the Medal of Honor ceremony, but then took it off and didn't put it back on. Was that a mistake?
So look, I'm going to share a couple of things with all of you here, and just start with what the ceremony was all about, because it's incredibly important. The president took off his mask, as I said he would, to deliver incredibly powerful remarks.
Was it incredibly powerful? Was it? Did he take it off for the emphasis, for the incredibly powerful part? I must have missed the incredibly powerful part, but I'll take her word for it.
About this Captain Taylor, and what he did in service to our nation, and he wanted to honor the captain. And for a brief time afterwards, he also didn't have his mask on, as you just laid out.
Yep, all right. You know, I'm old enough to remember, and I want to point this out. I'm old enough to remember when Joe Biden said wearing a mask was your patriotic duty.
As I've said in the last 2 years, please wear a mask. If you're in I think it's part of your patriotic duties.
Oh yeah, see, you remember that? Do you remember when that was patriotic to do? Yeah, I do too. It's the most patriotic thing that Joe Biden can do is wear his mask. Follow the science.
It's working.
It's working in the name of science. Science prevails. Science prevails. Then even the president jokes about not wearing the mask. You know, it used to be a patriotic duty, and now it's a big joke. Everybody knows they don't work. We have followed the science to the end of the earth, and we know that these masks don't work. And now even the resident is joking about the masks, not working. Oh.
Hello, everybody. Let me explain to the press. I've been tested again today. I'm clear across the board. But they keep telling me because this has to be 10 days or something, I got to keep wearing it. But don't tell them I didn't have it on when I walked in.
Awkward laughter from the press. Like, bro, you're on camera. It's on the internet. Like, we all know that you're not wearing your mask. You must wear your mask, says Dr. Fauci.
Follow the science.
I am the science.
Come on.
I just can't believe the president would not follow up on his patriotic duty. It's incredible. It's incredible. But yeah, he's not a patriot apparently. He's not a patriot. Disappointing. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I actually don't really care. Like I don't know. Like, I'm kind of glad that he made the dumb joke because now, like, all right, can we just move on from the stupid mask stuff? Like, can we please? Like, have you noticed an uptick around, like, the grocery stores and everybody wearing the masks? I see more people wearing masks around grocery stores now.
I have seen it in general. Yeah, I have.
Like, why are we doing this, guys?
I saw a couple of our favorites, Alone in the Car. Seen a couple of those the last couple weeks.
So disappointing.
That is.
But I feel bad for those people at the same time because, like, you know that their heads have been so just ravaged by the fear propaganda that they're not thinking straight. Like, you're alone in your car. Why? I don't know. I want to, like, it's your own choice if you want to wear a mask. But if you're following the science, they don't do anything. They don't. So, science, I guess. it's just science. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm but a humble meme farmer. So I don't really like science. But Karine Jean-Pierre didn't want to get focused on the science during her press conference today. She didn't want to just follow the science. She wanted also to follow, the big wins of the Biden administration, like how they've lowered gas prices. Did you know that they lowered gas prices, Mac?
What?
Yeah, they have.
Oh, okay.
That's what KJP told us.
Great. My bank account says otherwise, but okay, I'm excited to hear about it.
I filled up this morning, so I didn't understand it either.
So yeah, I thought you were about to be like, yeah, and it was. No, it
was actually quite a lot more.
If you look at what we've been able to do from last summer to this summer, lowering gas prices by $1.20, that is because of the work that this administration has done. And so we're always going to be focused on what steps we can take to continue to lower prices for Americans.
Oh, that's so nice. So nice. They're so focused on doing whatever they can to lower gas prices for Americans. Yep. It's really nice. It's really nice of them. When Biden took office, gas on average was $2.39. So, I guess all the stuff that they can do it's not that much. It's not much. Yeah. But they'll look at you with a straight face. They will. They'll look at you with a straight face and they'll say, "Bro, gas is down $1.20. It is? What? When? When did that happen? Am I missing something? Gas was $2.40, $2.39 when they took office. It was even cheaper before that. But, here we are. I must be wrong. I must be, I'm on the internet a lot. I must be dabbling in that misinformation and disinformation. I think that's the only reasonable explanation. They were asked, you guys going to crack into the reserves? You gonna break into the reserves? So I was waiting for Karine Jean-Pierre to say, no, it's not midterms. And we're a little bit far out from the election. Maybe this time next year we'll do it. But she didn't. She said, we'll talk about it. We'll have the. This is like, it's like when my kids ask me for something and I'm not going to do it. Well, I'll talk to mom. Let me run it by mom. And I'll get back to you. And then I just hope you forget about it. Hey, Dad, can I have some ice cream? You're like, hey, let me talk to mom. A little close to dinner, but I'll talk to mom.
You'll see what she thinks.
I'll see where mom's at on the topic.
I know the administration is currently trying to refill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, but if prices continue to spiral out of control, would you consider tapping it and selling more on the market to lower prices?
So don't want to get too much into hypotheticals or what may or may not happen. Just want to be very careful. Clearly, that's something that the Energy Department focuses on as it relates to that piece of refilling. So just not going to get ahead of what the Energy Department might do. And so I'm just going to leave it there.
Oh, yeah. Tell me that's not the... I'll talk to mom. That answers... I don't want to get ahead of the Energy Department. It's like, hey, Dad, can I have ice cream? Listen, I don't want to get ahead of dinner. I don't want to get ahead of dinner time. I'll talk to mom. I'll see what mom wants to do. But I don't want to get ahead of it. I mean, are you gonna crack into the strategic reserves? Yeah, I'll talk to mom. See what happens. Are they going to crack into the strategic reserves? I mean, this is the same president that sold millions of barrels of our reserve oil, right? This is the same administration who our energy secretary Jennifer Granholm called China. She called Chinese officials before they tapped our oil reserves the last time. Are they going to do it to help Americans? I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to. I'll talk to mom. I'll see what mom's thinking. Oh my gosh, this is where we're at. Is it going to get better? I'm not sure, guys. The Biden administration has officially canceled oil and gas leases in the Alaska Wildlife Refuge. So, if you were looking forward to a little bit of drill, baby, drill, it's not going to happen anytime soon. It's not. I'll fill you in on that next. It's 10:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hanford, Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling. Now, I know it can be so hard to find someone you trust with large home repairs because, I know you're not an HVAC guy. I'm not an HVAC guy, so I don't know. I don't speak HVAC. I'm not fluent in that language. Luckily, the guys at Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling are fluent in that, and they understand that they need to help you with these large home repairs, and they're honest. Jeff is a hardworking family Christian guy, and he brings those values to his business. And because of that, he's not going to just pressure you to replace your AC unit the way some companies will because they make more money that way. No. He's going to help you make the right decision for your HVAC unit. So if that means replacing a part, and that's the cheaper route to go, but it will extend the life of your HVAC system, then he's fine with doing that. And if the other company's already looked at your unit and they say you need to replace it, I suggest you give Jeff Eddy Efficient HVAC a call for a second opinion. If you're trying to make that decision to replace or repair your system, they'll walk you through every option and scenario so that way you can make an informed decision. You need to be able to make an informed decision. The other companies, again, they're just going to pressure you to replace the system because they make more money that way. But with Efficient, they'll offer up to 18 months, same as cash financing on your next unit. They're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and an elite pro partner with Rheem. So if you need your HVAC unit serviced, repaired, or replaced, go to efficienthvac.net or call 615-784-4424.
Hear the dispatch audio of that officer-involved shooting in Kentucky. Nashville police releasing more information about a claim of self-defense. An American is bleeding internally, trapped at the bottom of a cave. And a story of survival from a man who went 5 days without food or water in brutal heat during the day, freezing temps at night. And what do you hear? What he says he saw. Stories at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 10:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I said it a minute ago, the Biden administration is just going to make your gas more and more expensive. Just announced late last night, under the cover of darkness, the U.S. Interior Department on Wednesday said would cancel oil and gas leases that were bought by an Alaska State Development Agency in the final days of former President Donald Trump's term. President Joe Biden has pledged to protect the 19.6 million acre, 7.9 million area as a Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. So, hope you like $7 gas. I hope you're looking forward to it. I got a text from my friend John 0973. He said, "Chris, you're gonna believe your lying eyes. Gas prices are lower, inflation is lower, and Biden's approval numbers are. I will defer to the White House counsel." It's 10:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the latest headlines for you. I'm Chris Hand. This is the Chris Hand Show. Thanks for being here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. Time, Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now in Kentucky, we have part of the dispatch audio from this morning's shooting in Louisville, courtesy of Broadcastify.
40th in Kentucky. I'm in Kentucky. I got lost you now.
Later, Chief Jacqueline Gwen Villarreal described what had happened.
While conducting the traffic stop, shots were fired from a nearby home.
Yeah, one of our officers shot in the torso in critical but stable condition. That suspect holed up in that house where the shots were fired. SWAT on the scene trying to bring it to a peaceful conclusion. Here in Nashville, Metro Police say a woman had an order of protection on the man she claims had strangled her before she shot him in the head yesterday morning. Police responded to that home in Old Hickory to find 29-year-old Decorian Scott with a gunshot wound to the head. He's currently being treated at Skyline Medical Center. Police say Scott had been arrested in February for violating the order of protection Aisha Sweeney was granted in August. And there's a race to rescue an American trapped in a cave in Turkey. Here's Tom Rivers from the Foreign Desk in London.
Suffering from internal bleeding, Mark Dickey has been stuck over 3,000 feet below the ground inside the Morka cave system since the weekend. In what's seen as a complex and lengthy procedure, Turkish cavers plan to stretcher him out, but it's going to take time. It normally takes around 15 hours for an experienced caver to reach the surface from where he is, and that's in ideal condition.
Right now in California, Rhiannon Alley says a man who was rescued after spending 5 days at the bottom of a ravine without food or water is speaking out, describing his ordeal, saying he's grateful to be alive.
68-year-old Calvin Smith was driving home on a rural road north of Los Angeles last Tuesday when his truck ran off the road into a 100-foot ravine. He was thrown from the truck, seriously injured and unable to move. All he could do was wait and hope someone would find him. Smith's faith keeping him strong during brutally hot days and freezing cold nights. On Saturday, a Good Samaritan finally spotted the wreckage and climbed down the hill, saving Calvin's life.
I was excited. I was happy. I was glad. I thought I'm going to be safe. I'm not going to die here. I'm going to make it.
He says at one point during his ordeal, the largest bear he's ever seen approached him and then turned away and walked away. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Hope you're having a great day. Sneaking out for lunch. Thanks for having us on. 11:05. If you want to keep up with us off the air, I'm on Twitter, Truth Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. We were talking about, all the things that are happening in the news. There's a lot of things happening. A lot. And one thing I keep seeing on the internet is that something big is coming tomorrow. That's all they say. That's all the internet people are saying.
I know. I keep trying to find out anything else. I just keep seeing that.
You're seeing that too?
Yeah, I'm seeing that too.
So what could it be? My immediate thought went to, remember I played that Greg Kelly stuff where he said there's an incriminating tape of Joe Biden?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's that.
Could be.
Maybe the incriminating tape of Joe Biden comes out tomorrow. I will say this, if any audio recordings come out, take it with a grain of salt, right? And the reason I say take it with a grain of salt is because of this artificial intelligence stuff. It would not shock me if the people in charge put out a fake artificial intelligence recording to then be like, haha, you conservatives fell for AI. I mean, the AI is getting good. Did you see the DeSantis recording? The fake apology for running for president?
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
If you missed it, there's the Dilly meme team, who I'm big fans of the Dilly meme team, okay? Believe it or not, I love the Dilly meme team online. I'll retweet this one, but they put together an artificial intelligence of Ron DeSantis, and there's a video of this. And it's crazy because it sounds just like him. You could sort of hear it if you're listening closely. You can hear like the computer generation part of it. But if they laid this through like a phone filter or an audio recording filter to make it seem like it was like muffled, I'm not sure you'd be able to tell the same way you can because it's supposed to be like an in-office speech. But this is for artificial intelligence of Ron DeSantis saying, "I'm sorry for running against President Trump."
Hi, I'm Ron DeSantis, governor of the great state of Florida. After the last week's events, including my poor performance at the debate as well as President Trump rejoining X, I've realized I need to drop out of this race immediately. I was told I could be president by some very powerful people, and I took some very bad advice. I did some very bad things that I'm not proud of at all. I never should have entered this race.
And the scary part is, they're saying things that we all know to be true, so it's like hard to tell if it's fake or not. Took some very bad advice from very bad people. Should have never been in this race. You know what I mean? So like, it's spooky what they can do with this artificial intelligence.
Which really isn't a race at all, except to the bottom. I'm not comfortable with how my campaign's been run at all. I listened to the wrong people and turned my life over to folks who don't represent my true thoughts and beliefs. I've let myself, my family, and the people of Florida who voted for me down. I'm ashamed of what I've said and done, and I'm embarrassed by what others have said and done on my behalf. I never should have challenged President Trump, the greatest president of my lifetime, a man who helped me when I needed it most. It was a massive betrayal and a mistake I'll now begin to make amends for. For those reasons, effective immediately, I'm dropping out of the Republican primary and throwing all of my support behind our rightful president, President Donald J. Trump. I will do.
So the crazy part is it's all video too. And it looks like Ron DeSantis, the way he's doing his hands. He's like, putting his fingers in. All the DeSantis motions are there for you to see, which is insane. I'm going to retweet this on my Twitter account or I'll post this. It's from the Dilly meme team. This is artificial intelligence. When you watch the video, it's like his lips are moving in motion. His hand motions are fluid. It's going to be so hard to tell very, very soon what's AI and what's not. It's crazy. Like, you can't believe what your eyes see anymore.
Do everything I can as governor of Florida to make sure President Trump's constitutional rights are protected. I'll be scrutinizing everything that the federal court does down in Miami, as well as monitoring the FBI and investigating all actions they've taken in the state of Florida, such as the raid of Mar-a-Lago. I don't expect any of you to forgive me. I don't expect any of you to let this go. However, I sincerely hope to earn back some of your trust with the actions I'll be taking henceforth. It's time to right this ship and help President Trump get reelected to make America great again. Thank you all, and good night.
I'm gonna repost that on my Twitter account at Chris Hand on air. I'm gonna get that up very, very shortly. The artificial intelligence stuff is crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, that was AI from Ron DeSantis, the Dilly meme team striking again.
Yeah, 4296 texted in. I heard it earlier this morning. I thought it was real.
It's crazy.
2862. Oh Lord, that wasn't real?
No. And if you see the video, it gets, there's like another level of craziness to it. 6598 said that's seriously alarming. I mean, he said DeSantis needs to sue the bleep out of who made it. Well, to be fair, they say that it's fake in the, nobody's trying to push this as real. 0344 said the voice is too monotone and too metered to be real. I mean, there's certain things, if you really listen, you can tell. But this is just what's available in the public sector. Like, imagine what kind of tech the militaries around the world have. Imagine what would happen if China, faked a voice call, spoofed a number, a FaceTime with Joe Biden to another country. Imagine what their military could do with that kind of tech. It's crazy.
3571 Chris, is that even legal?
I don't know, but it's funny. I don't know. I don't know,
man.
I don't know. It's weird. It's pretty weird. Is it even legal? I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't know if the government knows. I know they're coming up with a lot of legislation right now. This is a lot of uncharted territory.
Well, and it goes exactly to the point I made earlier about Mitch McConnell. Like, can Mitch McConnell grasp that? Can Dianne Feinstein grasp that? Can Joe Biden grasp this and like what kind of threat that is? 2714 makes a great point. AI could start wars between countries. Literally. There was an AI program that spoofed this AI computer program spoofed 3789 said I thought it was real when I tuned in. Scary. There was an AI program that spoofed a helpline for handicapped people. So the AI they called a helpline, spoofed a voice, told the person that they're blind and they needed help putting in the CAPTCHA online. So the person on the handicap line was fooled by the AI. There's artificial intelligence that's been able to access money via bank accounts and open bank accounts. Like, this is a real threat. It's terrifying how it could be used. Absolutely terrifying. 4490 said it's not funny, it's scary. Well, yeah.
It's both.
It's a little both.
A little bit.
Keith said, does Ron DeSantis know this video is out there? Oh, Keith, I don't know.
I don't know.
He should.
He should. I mean, to be fair, these guys say it's a parody. But you watch it with the video aspect of it, and it's insane. It's insane. But, what's happening in real life is insane as well. The fact that Karine Jean-Pierre is being asked if we're going to break into our petroleum reserves is crazy. We've already broken into those like mad in this administration. She was asked also yesterday at her press conference if Biden is going to continue following CDC guidance because, he was joking about taking his mask off. Like, the artificial intelligence is crazy, but what's happening in real life is just as crazy. This is Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday at the press conference talking.
If the president continues to test negative, will he wear a mask in India for how many days? And will he do anything else to change his behavior as he's around so many world leaders?
It's crazy to me that, we're worried about the president wearing masks and there's other stuff like AI going on. Doesn't the president wearing a mask seem so inconsequential compared to the problems that we're facing? But that's what they ask. and maybe it was an approved question, and KJP called on her for this question, but that's what they're answering at the White House press briefing.
No, it's a good question. Look,
It's a good question.
as you know, there's about, I believe, a 10-day window, right? Once the person who's in close contact, the president's going to continue to follow CDC guidance. And as I mentioned at the top, that includes masking, that includes testing. The testing is not recommended to be every day for a person.
Got to follow CDC guidelines, guys. Let's not worry about the threats of artificial intelligence. My wife texted me actually about the AI. She said, you got to tell families to come up with a safe word because of the AI. You've heard about the AI with like they're faking and spoofing family voices. And so it'll be like a kid will call, be like, Mom, I'm in trouble. You need to bring money to this place, blah, 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 blah. Have you heard those stories?
Oh, for sure.
So that my wife is like, tell everybody to make a safe word. Like, like have a code word with your kids.
It's a good idea.
If your kid says rhubarb pie, there's real trouble. Something random.
You just gave yours away, Chris.
Oh, sorry, Virginia, we gotta change our code word. But yeah, come up with a code word. I mean,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, come up with a code word. You got to do something.
Yeah, more human. Can't think of the word, but yeah, you're gonna need more of those natural interactions that AI can as easily replicate
offline. It's like the like the movies where it's like, which one's the real you? Tell me something only you would know. It's like pointing the gun at like two people that are the exact same. That's what we're gonna be looking at pretty soon.
We had a text from 1313. Is AI considered free speech? Just kind of in the legalities here. So the expression of an AI would be protected under the First Amendment if it's considered as a form of speech and it's not harmful or illegal. So that's pretty vague.
That's a lot of gray area.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of gray area.
Like, is that dissent? Would that be harmful?
I don't know. It's a joke.
It's not helpful.
I mean, I guess it would depend on what like format you're doing. Like if I just played that on the air, but would that be the person that created the artificial intelligence fault, or would that be my fault if I played that on the air and didn't have a warning in front of it? 9250 says Congress should mandate an electronic fingerprint on all AI information. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
I don't know.
Sounds like a good idea.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, all good ideas. The AI stuff is crazy. John texted, he said, great. Another job is obsolete. No more impersonators. We're losing more jobs under Joe Biden, believe it or not. This is your economy on Joe Biden. Keith said this artificial intelligence thing is that good that it's going to wreak havoc on the elections. Well, you're absolutely right. It's going to wreak havoc on the elections. I mean, we're staring down the barrel of this thing. You're literally not going to be able to believe what your eyes see and what your ears hear. Crazy. It's crazy. That's why with like that recording they say could be coming out about Biden, like the big stuff that everybody on the internet's talking like, oh, some big news is going to be coming tomorrow. I don't know if there really is. It could just be, a grift. But if it's a recording of Biden, I feel like we should wait on everything. Like even when that Tucker video came out with the police chief in D.C., I was like, I don't know, because the audio was all like fragmented and edited weird. I was like, that could be AI. I didn't touch that. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And they had microphones in the picture. It was like on Tucker Carlson's Tucker Today set, where like usually they don't have microphones. Like they had like studio mics like we have.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have those on his set. They usually do like the
lapels.
Lapels. Yeah, the lapel mic. So I looked at that and I was like, that seems off. But I don't know. I guess it ended up being real. Nobody said it was fake. Tucker didn't come out and say it was fake. But I'm very cautious about whether or not things are real. I think we all need to be very cautious about whether things are real. But yeah, all right, moral of the story. It's funny at least. Get a family password, and we'll have more news for you on the way. 11:19 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Please clap.
Hear what it was like when a Kentucky cop was shot during a traffic stop overnight. That story and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Some crazy stuff happened. Yesterday was released, and we're going to have a guest on the show tomorrow on Agenda Free Friday. A friend of mine from Turning Point USA, Frontlines reporter, Kalen Dalmeda, sorry. He's going to be pissed I butchered his name. Kalen is a reporter. And he has this. I retweeted this story on my Twitter account at Chris Hand on Air. I re-X'd it. Whatever. So the gist of it was that Kalen has been working for months to go underground, create a fake profile online, and lure in pedophiles. Like, it's dark stuff. And he confronted this person who was trying to meet a 12-year-old girl. It's disgusting.
Ugh.
But he confronted this person at a Walmart in Nebraska. And it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild what happened. So leading up to this, Kalen was meeting with lawyers and talking about, what entrapment laws are like. And there's a lot to get into. And Kalen's going to be on the show tomorrow at this time to talk about that experience, talk about what got him into that line of work and that thought process and kind of how you go about doing something like that if you wanted to. It's pretty crazy. As a private citizen, after talking with lawyers about this kind of stuff, there's no real entrapment laws. That's really only for the police. So you can lure in these pedophiles much differently than the police can. So it's kind of like remember the To Catch a Predator?
Yeah, of course.
But To Catch a Predator got in trouble because they were working with the police.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like asking the police to rough these guys up for the camera and, gas it up to make it look good for TV. So like that's when you get into trouble, when you work with the police too much. So Kalen didn't work with police at all. He went out on his own, found quite a few pedophiles, and he's going to be doing this a lot with Turning Point USA. And he busted this guy named Christopher Carey from Lincoln, Nebraska, who was trying to meet up with a 12-year-old girl. It's dark. The video is dark. I obviously can't play a lot of it on the air here, but there are good people like out there like Kaylin that are doing good work. And if this is something that you're interested in, I put it on my Twitter account at Chris Hand on Air from the Frontlines reporting team. Big story right up on the Post Millennial on it. This was months of work for Kaylin and the whole Frontlines team. And when they walk in, I showed you the video yesterday before it aired. When I, cause we were all sharing it in our circles, hey, show this to your friends. What do they think? So I showed it to Mac. It's crazy.
It's insane, man. Great. Really well done video. But yeah, obviously the content of it. Yeah, it's dark, but really, really good all at the same time, and disgusting and just, but yeah, I mean, Kaylin, man, that's work that a lot of people wouldn't envy, but that's the reporting that needs to be done.
Yeah, and so the video footage starts off with Kaylin confronting this guy inside a Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing the guy goes is like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, Kaylin looks at him and goes, "Well, it's what you think it was, bud.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you think it was." And he goes, "Oh my God, I'm just trying to have fun." And then he goes, "I'm not going to jail. I hope not."
Yeah.
And then he turns and runs. He was an overweight individual, so he didn't run far. And as he's trying to get out of the parking lot, he commits a hit and run.
Mm-hmm.
Smashes into some guy's truck and takes off. The video is unreal. You got to check it out on my Twitter account at Chris Hand on Air. The Frontlines reporting team have been doing really good work. We're going to talk to Kaylin tomorrow and kind of go into the behind the scenes on what it takes to do something like that. Because, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like, there are some people out there doing it, but not anywhere near what we need. The internet is crawling with people that are preying on children, and it's gross, man. And like these people need to be held accountable. So, kudos to Kaylin. Kudos to the whole Frontlines reporting team. I look forward to talking to Kaylin on the air tomorrow about, his process, what he did to get to this point, what made him want to do something like this, because it's gross. Like, he literally had to communicate with this person and pretend to be a 12-year-old girl. Like, that's dark.
For a long
you know
time.
what I mean? Like, yeah, 6 months.
Oh.
6 months.
Wow,
so,
man. Wow.
How do you mentally psych yourself up for that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's wild. So we're going to dig in on all of that with Kaylin tomorrow. I know tomorrow is an agenda-free Friday, and we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, but we will be taking a moment to sit down with Kaylin. He's got so many media interviews about this new project for Frontlines reporting. So we're lucky enough that he's going to take a minute to sit down with us and talk to us on the phone. So we're going to talk to him tomorrow, right around this time on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And Jim just texted in where to find the video if he wants to.
All right, so if you go to my Twitter account at Chris Hand on Air, I retweeted it. It's on the Frontlines reporting. It's right on my main thing. Go to Chris Hand on Air, and you can see it. I just retweeted it yesterday when it launched. I think it's like maybe 4 or 5 tweets down. But yeah, we're going to talk about this with Kaylin tomorrow. Talk about his thought process, how he got into it right at this time. But right now, 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the headlines.
11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. And here's the audio between dispatch and Louisville police officers when a cop was shot during a traffic stop this morning. This audio courtesy of Broadcastify.
Watch your back. Cover that. One of those houses over there, the shot came from the front door.
Shot fired from someone inside of a nearby home. That officer in critical but stable condition. Right now in our nation's capital, the Senate Energy Committee being warned against letting U.S. artificial intelligence capabilities fall into the hands of China. Jay O'Brien covering for us.
It's not just AI that the government is keeping a watchful eye on in terms of U.S. AI innovation, but they're also watching this AI arms race, in a sense, go on between the United States and China, and the U.S. is trying to make sure it has the edge over China in that race.
President Biden traveling to India tonight ahead of the G20 World Leaders summit. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. When we get to retirement, what do we want to do? We want to go and kick back, right? But we also want to take an income from our investment portfolios. And there are a lot of common myths that I hear about how do you take an income from an investment portfolio. One is that people will get into, this was really big a few years ago, really big, real estate investment trust. Now, real estate gets rented and it kicks off an income, and then you have some kind of dividend that's paid, and because the REIT has to pay out most of the dividend, it's a great way to take income in retirement. But what happens, like what happened recently, when all of a sudden the properties go unrented? What happens to your income? Bye-bye, it's gone. Another thing that I see is this: people buy stocks or stock mutual funds that are dividend paying, and what we'll do is we'll live off the dividends. Well, what is the dividend? It's part of the earnings of the company. So you got the earnings of the company, right? And then what happens is the company may pay out some of the dividend, and they call that a dividend when they pay it out, or they may retain some of it, and it's called retained earnings. Well, the problem is this: what if the company's earnings go down? Just like the real estate investment trust up here, what if the earnings go down? What happens to your dividend? It goes away. All of a sudden, it's bye-bye to your retirement income. So what do we want to do? We want to diversify way better. If you look at the academic research on investing and how to take income from a portfolio, quite often what it is saying, okay, I'm going to have some money in various asset classes. Large companies, small companies, value companies, growth companies, international companies, short-term bonds and intermediate bonds, and so on and so forth. And what I do is I look at these different areas of the market, and they have a historic return. And what happens if the portfolio does, this area of the market does better than this one? Well, in that particular year, I'm going to take income from this part of the portfolio. Then the next year, maybe this area does better than everything else. I'll take income from there. So what I'm doing is diversifying, which is an age-old concept. I mean, good grief, Nobel Prize winning concept of investing. And I actually apply it to taking income from a portfolio. So why is it that we often see this kind of stuff? It's because of the fees and the commissions and all of the incentives to sell you things that maybe aren't in your best interest. And a lot of advisors, you look at it, they aren't held to a fiduciary standard. In other words, they don't have to keep your best interest first. Paul Winkler, Inc., we hold ourselves voluntarily to that standard, and we actually disclose it in our disclosure brochures. So if you want to know more about what we do and learn more and educate along the way, go to paulwinkler.com. Set up a free 15-minute phone call so that you can learn more, become an educated investor. First step is easy. paulwinkler.com, free 15-minute phone call, and get started ASAP, because you can't afford to wait. You've got to make sure you get this right. You don't get a second shot.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's going on? It's Chris Hand. All right, so if you were looking for the video of Ron DeSantis, the artificial intelligence one, I tweeted it out. I don't know how long it will last, though. A couple people have sent it to Governor DeSantis and tagged him in the tweets. I don't know why.
Come on, man.
Try to narc me out, bro. Just doing it for the lulz, all right? And if you want to see the video of the Frontlines reporting team, that's also on my Twitter, at Chris Hand on Air. I just put both of those at the tippy top, as former President Trump would say, the tippy top. So they're right there for you, at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back, all right? Unless you look like a Russian bot. I will. Let me just say that one disclaimer. Got to have some tweets. So I know you're real. Just tweet the word based if you don't have anything else, and I'll know you're a real person. All right, that would be based. If your only tweet is based, I'll absolutely follow you. I promise. Geez. Eric Adams has declared that illegal immigration is destroying New York City. Yeah. Yep. It was fact-checked and found to be true. Some people may fact-check it as false because New York was pretty lousy before. But Mayor Eric Adams has declared illegal immigration at its current pace will destroy New York City, warning New Yorkers that every service in this city will have to be cut and that migrants will come to your neighborhoods. Oh, this is literally what you asked for as a sanctuary city. This is what they voted for in New York. Were these sanctuary policies, right? Just so kind, so loving. This is what they wanted. During a town hall on the Upper West Side today, or on Wednesday. See, I'm doing it again. It's Thursday, but it's a short week, so I'm like all frazzled on my dates. During a town hall on the Upper West Side on Wednesday, a visibly frustrated Adams said the arrival of 110,000 border crossers and illegal aliens since the spring of last year will lead to the destruction of New York City as waves of illegal immigration have continued unabated under President Joe Biden's watch. If they're admitting that it's 110K, I would be willing to bet it's a lot more, right? Is that just me? If they're saying it's 110 illegals since last spring, of last year, wouldn't you assume that it's a lot more? Am I wrong for thinking that? This is Mayor Eric Adams, just losing his mind at a town hall, saying he's basically conceding that New York City's over. That's what he's doing. The mayor is conceding.
Support, and let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month. One time we were just getting Venezuela. Now we're getting Ecuador. Now we're getting Russian-speaking coming through Mexico. Now we're getting Western Africa. Now we're getting people from all over the globe have made their minds up that they're going to come through the southern part of the border and come into New York City.
Well, yeah, of course they're going to come into New York City. You're giving them hotel rooms to stay in. You're giving them jobs. You're inviting them in every step of the way. Why wouldn't they come to New York City? And why are you so shocked that they keep showing up, Mayor Eric Adams?
And everyone is saying it's New York City's problem.
It is.
Every community in this city is going to be impacted. We had a $12 billion deficit that we're going to have to cut. Every service in this city is going to be impacted. All of us. And so I say to you, as I turn it over to you, this is some of the most educated, some of the most knowledgeable, probably more of my commissioners and deputy commissioners and chiefs live in this community. So as you ask me a question about migrants, tell me what role you played.
Yeah, tell me what role you played. Well, they all voted for it. And he's right. It's going to affect every community. Every community is going to be affected by this. And even the governor of New Jersey knows that this problem is coming to his doorstep. But the governor of New Jersey, he doesn't want these illegals. Can you blame him?
This directly from the feds. We've not heard it from the White House. But not only would I call on the White House and Congress to do what I just said, that three-legged stool, let's finally fix this once and for all. I don't see any scenario, Eric, where we're going to be able to take in a program in Atlantic City. or frankly elsewhere in the state. We are already seeing folks in New Jersey that have probably swelled into Jersey from New York City or from other locations, but you need scale, enormous amount of federal support, resources that go beyond anything that we can afford. Putting everything else aside, I just don't see it. And I would suspect that that'll continue to be the case.
That's Governor Murphy out of New Jersey. He's saying, hey, New Jersey, we're full, guys. We're full. We can't help. Mayor Eric Adams says it's going to be everybody's problem. Governor of New Jersey says we're gonna have to pass on that one. We're gonna have to pass. But it's coming to a neighborhood near you. And these remarks from Mayor Eric Adams, these remarks from Governor Murphy of New Jersey, come on the heels of Governor Kathy Hochul basically cheering on the illegal immigration to the region, suggesting repeatedly that it's a boon for employers who are looking to hire foreign workers. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, at another state up there in New England, Massachusetts, they're calling in the National Guard and declaring a national emergency over the illegal aliens coming into town. Yet they continue to vote for these policies. And then they will flee their states. They will come to places like Tennessee, and they'll vote for those policies here. It's exciting times, my friends. Exciting, exciting times. I mean, the border is wide open. Literally wide open. In Arizona, they literally opened up the border gates and welded them open. I kid you not. There's a portion of the border in Arizona where you can open it, and it's for migratory animals and for tsunami flooding. And they welded those portions of the border open. I mean, to call it a broken border at this point is a grave understatement. The border isn't broken. I think the border is open as they intended. I think the border is working exactly as they intended. And you have migrants from around the world streaming across this closed border into Arizona. Arizona is becoming ground zero. In Lukeville, Arizona, more than 300 migrants walked through the open storm drain gates that I just talked to you about that are welded open. That's just west of Lukeville. And they walk in and they surrender to the Tucson Sector Border Patrol. They just surrender. Oh, then they get handed their cell phone, they get handed a court date, and they're off into the interior United States. You know something I notice every time I see these pictures of illegal aliens flooding across the open border? It's always grown men. It's always grown men. There's no women and children in these pictures. I mean, I'm looking at a picture of a group of 300 migrants crossing from Mexico into Arizona. First off, they don't look very Hispanic. Who am I? What am I? I don't know. Weird. But they don't look very Hispanic. Second off, there's no women and children. Now, if I was fleeing a war zone, I would bring my wife and my kids with me, right? If I was fleeing for a better life, I would bring my wife and kids with me. On the other hand, if I was going to war, I would leave my wife and kids at home. I feel like we're dealing with a soft invasion. It may not even be a soft invasion at this point. There's an invasion at the southern border. Every single city in this country is a border city now. Every single state is a border state. And we need to get this under control. We need to get it under control fast. Hey, Eric on line 1, you have a comment on the border. Eric, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up?
I grew up in Southern California and back in the late 60s, early 70s, and saw a lot of problems back then. It's still continuing today, obviously, until it reaches every community. Hendersonville, Gallatin, all the suburbs. They don't have little tent cities in Hendersonville. Well, when they start seeing it in their pop up in their towns and other towns, people are going to keep voting, Democratic. They're not going to vote for Republican to close the border, finish the wall, and it's not sustainable financially. Because you heard Eric Adams, who's paying for it? Obviously, taxpayers.
Yep.
But the money tree runs out eventually, and there's just it can't go on. Eventually, some big federal programs will have to take a hit.
No, it's
Then we'll
completely
fix it.
it's completely unsustainable. In Chicago, they're having the same problem too. And the residents of Chicago, young urban males, are saying if these problems continue, they're saying the illegal aliens are starting fights, robbing people. They said if these problems continue and the local government doesn't fix it, we're going to handle it in the streets. And that's what we're going to end up seeing, increases of violence over this kind of stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, lots of it. I've seen where on the news some Americans are starting to attack anybody who's Latino because they're just, I guess, some of them are fed up with it. I don't know. But
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's hard to blame them. Thanks for the call, Eric. Hey, Jeff in Hendersonville, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, how you doing? I was just telling your screener there, I lived in Panama for 3 years, went to high school down there. I live in Hendersonville now, and I was surprising my daughter at her elementary school in Hendersonville, and there was a lady trying to get into the school, early 20s with two little girls, and she didn't speak a word of English. And, of course, the front office in a Hendersonville elementary school isn't exactly fluent in Spanish. So I stayed there for 2.5 hours translating all the school registration forms to get this lady's kids enrolled in the school. And she's from Chiapas, which, if you're familiar with Mexico at all, that's where a lot of the cartels were based.
Jeez.
And it was a very interesting conversation I had with this lady. But, man, this is everywhere. No doubt it's an invasion. They're not all bad people. I think a lot of them are just here for an American dream that is being used against them. You know what I mean? So,
the old American dream. You have to be asleep to believe it, right, Jeff?
Well, she definitely was living it, but wasn't real. We've got some pretty interesting.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the call, Jeff. I appreciate that. That's super.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Super interesting. Super interesting. Alan in Nolensville, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Alan?
Hey, man. Yeah, so I have a lot to say on this. My wife is Latino, and she is a true asylum seeker from the early 70s from a massacre, a land grab going on by the Federales for mineral and water rights in the mountains above Puebla. They executed everybody that didn't have a witness, including her grandfather, on his knees, back of the head. So they came for her father because they didn't know he had transferred. That guy knew it was coming. The grandfather transferred it to the son. He had to hightail it. Her parents are all now citizens. She got some rogue, stinking, whatever immigration officer. And we just found out, I mean, literally, the American government this girl has been working since she was 14. They've been taking her Social Security, her Medicare, her everything.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she goes to get a license in Tennessee, driver's license, renew her license, can't do it. This is our second round of $7,000 to $10,000. This is from the 70s, and these people that are pouring in here have driver's licenses. I'm fed up. And last Saturday night, because of our business, we sometimes give temporary help, day work, for immigrants. One of them became so trusting in us and so loved us and our aura that at 12:30 in the middle of the night, I'm going down into Hispaniac to do a recovery. You know why? Because she paid the cartels through the teeth, but she gets here and they say, you've got more to work off.
Huh.
Her kids are still down in Guatemala, right?
Yeah.
So she had enough. She left the house of the guy that supposedly, air quotes, bought her freedom, right? She calls us at 12:30 in the middle of the night. We go down. We catch her running out of the woods. The guy's behind her on his phone. I asked to drop him. I asked if he had a gun. I'm ex-Special Forces. I am a military veteran. The crap that is going on in this country is treason. And I'll tell you this. The Republicans not bringing up treason on this stuff. They are fueling human trafficking.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
This is sick. It's bizarre. I have a lot more to say on this. You have my number. I would love to come in and tell you about what's really going on, feet on the street here. Because, see, I am a closed border guy. However, once they're here, I'm called by Christ to act as Christ. That girl calls us in the middle of the night, I'm going down Haywood Lane on the backside of Hispaniac into a store, and I swear I told my wife we were supposed to meet her at a market. The thugs that were around there, those M9, don't get me started. And I said, how well do you know this girl? Because this smells like a setup. Does she think we have money? Because we don't. And then it turns out that, no, she hadn't made it to the store. And then she called and said, he's right behind me. I'm hiding in the woods. She runs out. We grab her. And I circle, and I wanted to drop him because he's on his phone. You know he's on his phone with? The cartels.
Crazy.
That he paid good money for that woman for.
And that's happening right here in Tennessee.
Right here, right under your nose. I love your show, love the topic, Chris Hand. Beast, I just followed you on Twitter, and you can reach me. My name's Alan.
I'll follow you back. I appreciate you, Alan. Thanks for the call.
I see you, brother.
Hey, man, thanks for the call. Thanks for everybody hanging on the line. Sorry, Troy, I couldn't get you. We were running out of time. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Make sure you're following me on Twitter like my friend Alan is. I'm at Chris Hand on air. You hit the follow button, I will follow back, and all the fun artificial intelligence stuff that we played earlier is there, and we can always talk more off the air online. It is 11:53 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Travel plans remain in place for President Biden. The White House says he continues to test negative for COVID after First Lady Jill Biden tested positive this week. He's traveling to India later tonight for the G20 summit, and the agenda will include Russia's attacks on Ukraine and tackling global economic challenges.
Reforming and boosting the World Bank and other multilateral development banks will be a key focus for President Biden when he meets with world leaders at the G20 economic summit. The U.S. has accused China of coercive and unsustainable lending to developing countries. The White House says the president wants those nations to have a better option than China for borrowing money for funding for infrastructure and climate change mitigation projects. China's President Xi, for the first time, is not attending the G20 summit. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
We're learning more about a lawsuit filed in Colorado this week alleging former President Trump is ineligible to appear on the ballot for the 2024 election. More from ABC's Catherine Faulders.
This is a group of 6 Coloradan voters who are essentially asking the Secretary of State not to put Trump's name on the ballot. And they're saying that this would be feasible under the 14th Amendment, which essentially says if you've engaged in insurrection or rebellion, you're disqualified from office. I think it's worth pointing out so far that Trump hasn't been charged with insurrection, but this is a theory and a line of thinking, frankly, the 14th Amendment line of thinking of disqualifying him that's been gaining traction among Democrats, anti-Trump Republicans.
The manhunt for escaped Pennsylvania prisoner Danilo Cavalcante now in its 8th day. Authorities widening their search beyond the initial perimeter after recent sightings. The state also now investigating how he escaped unnoticed by guards. Jobless claims dropped 13,000 from the prior week. 216,000 Americans filed for first-time unemployment benefits. That's the lowest level since February. You're listening to ABC News.